Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Phạm Hoàng Hải, the Executive Director of the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam. And welcome again to joining the webinar series organized by ICHAM, the Italian Chamber of Commerce. And first of all, we are very happy that during this tough time, I suppose that many of you are physically been in Vietnam or very soon to be back in Vietnam. And we all know that Vietnam is going through the tough time right now, there's been a lockdown, the complete lockdown in the main city. And so that's the reason why in this webinar, which is right now, we have more than 100 participants. We are very happy for that because it means that there's a big interest of the company, the business company that regarding to this issue. And so thank you again to joining us today. Just a few words about the theme of this webinar. That you already know that the economy of Vietnam is going very well, and more foreign companies coming to do business in Vietnam, and also the Vietnamese company has the necessity to hire the foreigner expert to work and do business in Vietnam. That's the reason why the community of expat in Vietnam is growing bigger and bigger, and also it's more important for the employer and also for the foreign expat to come to Vietnam to understand how to obtain the visa, how to obtain the work permit, how to obtain the resident card in order to work legally in Vietnam. And that's the reason why we're here today. And we're very happy to have with us today two experts from Viva Business Consulting, a company member of ICHAM that will help you to understand better about the required compliance procedure and also the new regulation of new law and regulations since 2021. And for those who are joining our webinar for the first time, ICHAM is the Italian Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam. That's the chamber that was providing the services and support for the foreign business community, especially for the Italian business community to do business in Vietnam. And also, we're providing support to do to help the company to work with the local authority to do the market entry, and also to organize this important webinar to provide more information, specific and in detail information, in order to help the business community to work better and with more transparency in Vietnamese and more efficiency in Vietnamese market. And not to take you longer, I'd like to introduce to you today to our speaker. The first one is Mr. Ta Trung Thành, which is a business development manager from Viva Business Consulting. Mr. Thành or Tim is also the paramount business advisor with immense international experience and education. And today we will explain to you about the required compliance and procedure for expat in Vietnam. And the next speaker will be Mr. Vương Tuấn Phong, who will explain for us about the new laws and regulations since 2021. And after that, we will obviously have the Q&A part, because we have already received a long list question of the participants joining this webinar about the themes today. And so here we are to have, and we'll try to answer to all the questions within our knowledge. And so here we go. I would give the floor to Mr. Ta Trung Thành. So before we start, I'd like to ask you, in order to help us, the organizer, better to run the webinar, please change your name into the full name and dash the name of the company. And then during our presentation, please mute yourself. And in case you have any question regarding the explanation of the speaker or any specific question, please put into the chatting segment, and then we will raise your question during the Q&A part. And for your information, this webinar is live also on Facebook, And also we will record it, and the recording will be available within the next 48 hours. So you can feel free to watch again this webinar anytime you want on our YouTube channel. We'll take no longer. Tim, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Hai. Thank you for your kind introduction. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who tuned in today. And on behalf of Viva Business Consulting, I'd like to wish all the audience and ICHAM and your families are healthy and staying safe, especially during this during COVID period. And we hope we'll see you soon. My name is, first of all, my name is Ta Trung Thai, or you can call me Tim. I'm the Business Development Manager at Viva Business Consulting. Today, I'm going to go through the overview of what are the visa options for foreign expat or future foreign employees who want to come in Vietnam, especially with the travel restriction and policy changes during this COVID period. So our presentation comprises of 3 parts today. First of all, I'll give you an overview of the required to comply expat in Vietnam and what type of visa, what type of available option for foreigners. Especially, we're going to look at foreign employees in Vietnam. And then afterwards, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Paul or Mr. Pham to update you on the new regulation and updates regarding the Decree 152 related to the expat and foreign employees in Vietnam. And finally, I'm going to move on introduction and briefing you about Viva Business Consulting Vietnam and who we are as a company and what we do and how we can help you further for your business ventures. So first is required compliance procedure for expat in Vietnam. So as you know, like since 2020, the numbers of international arrival has decreased dramatically due to the COVID-19 impact that led to many current expat living or working in Vietnam. Some may be impacted with the work, or some may be impacted with the visa or the business. So they do not know like what's the available option for them right now. So the core segment today, we're looking at the foreign employees in Vietnam. So foreign employees in Vietnam can be defined many different situations, but like the most common right now, the Vietnamese government keep accepting these expert or positions in Vietnam, including managers, CEOs, experts, and technical workers. And each position can be position application for entering Vietnam will require different requirements. However, for foreigners will be recognized as a foreign employee in Vietnam will be based on different situation. It can be a foreign employee currently under negotiating a labor agreement with a Vietnamese employer, or it can be an internal assignment. For instance, there's a foreign company in a foreign country with a subsidiary of representative office in Vietnam. That employer must work at the parent company in the foreign country more than 12 months, can be reassigned into a subsidiary or representative office in Vietnam, can be recognized as a foreign employee. And other including trade or other commercial contract between foreign partner and Vietnamese partners. And in general, any foreign employees working for local or foreign invested capital, foreign company in Vietnam. Yeah, so for at Viva, we have been operating for more than 16 years, and we have worked with tremendous amount of foreign expert or foreign employees in Vietnam, and we have tailored and drafted a list of compliance procedure, including as you can see in this slide, and this is we have been in order. So initial steps for you as a foreign employees or new or future employees, you have to apply for visa. Visa is the initial step for you to enter Vietnam legally, and then later on, if you're for an employee, you have the work permit. A work permit is a separate paper from visa. So work permit is a proof or a certificate, like a proof paper that you have the qualification and the other requirements to work in Vietnam legally. And then afterwards, after getting work permit, you can apply for temporary residence card under labor or other cases. So after you, as a foreign employee, you come in Vietnam, you will apply for all those initial steps. You have to follow other compliance steps, including personal income tax, or you have to know what's the other insurance, compulsory insurance, how to, what's the investment rights for employees. So this you can reach out to Viva for find out more all of these compliance procedures. So first today, the first problem today, we're going to looking at the visa. So especially during COVID-19, there's a lot of visa issues. How to enter Vietnam with a valid visa, what's the changes. So first thing I want to define visa in Vietnam, it's similar to any other country. Visa is issued for foreigners to enter Vietnam for a certain period of time. It can be issued single or multiple purpose. So usually in Vietnam, issue it with a hard copy attachment on passport, or it can be a separate paper, or it can recently it can be issued via electronic. So in this slide right now, I want to show you 5 very common type of visa that currently we see that a lot of requests inquiry in terms of this type of visa. So before I'm moving on to those type of visa, I want to give you a terminology like what is the visa, and sometimes like you see the visa different in TSC. So here you see the duration expiration is 12 months. Usually the visa expiration date no more than 12 months, and if you see something is more than 12 months, we call it TSC, temporary residence card. So moving on, type of common type of visa today is the first type is DT. It stands for investment. Investment visa issued to foreign investor who actually invest investment capital in a company or any project in Vietnam, and those investment visa can go from 12 months to 10 years. So depending on the amount of capital you invest in a company. The next one is LD. LD stands for labor. Labor essentially is for employees coming to Vietnam who already apply for work permit and can be issued for LD visa or TSC. So the duration of TSC or LD, TSC or visa is no more than 2 years. And single DN stands for business visa. Business visa is for issued to foreign expert coming Vietnam to work with a Vietnamese partner. For example, if you if there's like a foreign partner and Vietnamese partner want to having a trade deal or have negotiating or other project together, a foreign partner can send an expert coming Vietnam, and then the Vietnamese partner can sponsor them with the DN type of visa. And then moving on, a TT type of visa is dependent. Dependent is issued to families or children, fiance or spouse of the foreign employee or foreigners that already have existing visa or TSC or PSC in Vietnam. And usually the expiration date should be the same expiration date with the sponsor that sponsoring the family to come Vietnam under TT. Finally, we're moving at the DL. DL is stand for tourist visa issued to tourists foreign tourists coming Vietnam. So after you getting visa coming Vietnam for foreign employee, you have to apply for work permit. The work permit is issued for employees as defined in our first slide, and then other situation can be issued like for an employee that negotiating a labor contract or having internal assignment or having any kind of commercial activities between Vietnamese and foreign partners in Vietnam. And I want to I want to make it clear that only 4 positions right now can be issued work permit under it's the manager, the CEOs, experts, and technical workers. So, so those are 4 4 main positions you can Vietnamese government recognize as a foreign expert to come in Vietnam. So those 4 positions can be divided into many different situations. So if, for instance, if there's like a foreign employer coming to Vietnam without labor contract, but in the case of there's like a trade partner in foreign company and in Vietnam, and then that trade partner is sending an expert in Vietnam, they can apply for work permit. So those situations can the government will require you to provide documents, and they will categorize you for each position. So if you can provide required documents for each position, you'll be recognized as for one of the following positions. Other important condition you have to keep in mind is, before foreign employees applying for work permit, you have to, the employer of the foreign employee workers have to register at the government authority that they have the qualification or they have the degree to work, and then the government office will will certify with a proof letter, and then you'll be granted with a legal paper to work in Vietnam. Other option is other requirement is foreign worker have to have a good health and doesn't have any criminal history in their home country and in or in Vietnam or any other country. So after when you're applying for work permit, you will have to provide those documents. So those documents can be issued in a foreign country, it can be legalized in a foreign country and sent to Vietnam, or you can go to embassy in Vietnam, or you can or other government office in Vietnam to apply for those documents. So moving on, the next step for foreign employees who have successfully applied for work permit, next step you'll be applying for temporary residence card. Temporary residence card is a longer term visa. It can be multiple, and it will replace a visa. So usually the duration of a temporary residence card can go from 2 to 5 years, or maybe can go to 10 years. However, the type of duration will depend on each case. So temporary residence card, apart from foreign employees, for position, we have discussed CEO, managers, technical workers, or experts will be issued temporary card under LD type. Others, we want to include other examples. Situation can be a foreigner of company, owner of a company in Vietnam, or it's a lawyer or any other other foreigner who's granted working permit in all kind of businesses or representative office of foreign companies in Vietnam. So TIC also issued to professional students, trainees in national working or study programs, which are signed by the ministry or approved by the government. So other important changes in terms of validity of temporary residence card is the expiration of temporary card. So in the case of expiration of temporary card, usually from time to time, you have to apply for a new card. So therefore, you have to submit all the documents again, unfortunately. And other important things that before you're applying for TAC, you have to extend or renew your passport. At least the expiration date of your passport at least is 1 month longer then your expiration of your TSC. And we have listed 3 types of TSC here. Like first one is the LD label 1 and PB 1, has the duration no more than 2 years. The next one is type of NN1, NN12, and TT is dependent and no more than 3 years. And then temporary cards, investment or students or other professional can go up to 10 years. Other option for expat coming in Vietnam, for longer term living in Vietnam can apply for permanent resident card, or we call it PRC. The PRC can also replace a visa. It can go up from 3 years to 5 years to 10 years. So the condition of PRC are different. So especially foreigner coming to Vietnam have to meet a certain requirements. Will be foreigners coming to Vietnam with a legal address. Foreigners who work in Vietnam with a stable income, with all meet all the compliance procedure. Also, with the most recent years, 3 years in Vietnam, the foreign employees have to foreigners have to live in Vietnam for certain days. So, for example, if in the last 3 years the foreigner live less than 50%, the government will not consider that you are permanent residents in Vietnam. So therefore, you have to prove that you're spending most of your time in Vietnam in order to apply for permanent residence card. A very important example condition is if you have a family member or your parents, your children, or your wife or fiance hold a Vietnamese citizenship, you will be also eligible to apply for PRC. So those are the primary condition for you to apply for permanent residence card. However, there's a lot of other paperwork and procedure. Please, you can refer to us later on for each case. So as a foreign employee, once you apply for visa and go through all the visa and TC issue, we have included other compliance procedure for foreign employees and expat, especially working in Vietnam. There's 3 points. The first one is drafting a labor contract. How to draft write a labor contract between the employer and the foreign employee in Vietnam is very important, essential, because we going to use those kind of documents to apply for work permit and prove that you have legal rights to work in Vietnam. And then secondly, is employer and employee have to understand what the insurance and insurance obligation or other compliance procedure as foreign employee. How you can calculate what's the rate of compulsory insurance and what's the rate. So those are very important as foreign employee coming to Vietnam. The next one is the tax relationship between the employer and tax department. So foreign employees have to pay certain amount of tax. There's like especially onshore employee in Vietnam have to pay a progressive tax, and offshore can pay some flat tax. So it's very important to understand those taxes before coming to Vietnam and how to optimize it. And here are some of the compliance procedures of between employer and employee with the government offices. So as a foreign employee coming to Vietnam, especially if you new or future expat coming to Vietnam, it's very important for you to understand, what type of documents for you to prepare and how to draft and you should working with to rectify or to draft a labor contract in a legitimate way to make your working history a good standing in Vietnam, good standing in Vietnam more stable. So it's important for employer to understand the local regulation of the relationship between employer and employee, or to draft those kind of a labor contract. So as finally, as an expat service bundle at Viva Business Consulting, we see that Vietnam right now, you see like there's a lot of changes and travel restriction, not a lot of tourists coming, but we see this increase in number of high-skilled foreigners coming in Vietnam, and those high skills will be driven by a lot of macro and micro elements in terms of jobs, and in terms of career opportunity, in terms of investment opportunity also in Vietnam that have been changed from Vietnam since the economic reform of 1986, and we have included those secretarial service for expat. First you might come as a foreign employee, but you might find some opportunity to come here, and we also can support you with like banking service or direct indirect investment or purchasing like property in Vietnam. So those are available options in Vietnam, and those kind of compliance procedure, how to do it right, we can help you in here. And we think it's very important for every expat to understand those compliance procedure, and you can move from here there, and and then grow your business or career in Vietnam. So next I would like to hand over to Mr. Paul. He's the legal specialist at Viva Business Consulting. He's gonna go through the decree 152 on some of the visa and immigration changes, or some clarification in terms of changes, and also some regulation you should keep in mind as foreign employee in Vietnam. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So I hope that with the insightful information, our guests here may have understand some general pictures regarding the compliance procedures for expat in Vietnam. So, recently, we think that the key components Vietnam has been economic growth recently. So the key component to make Vietnam grow more is the FDI capitals. So thanks to the Vietnamese government has planning to attract more FDI capitals. So the government has implemented a lot of new policies to reform the working environment and investment environment in Vietnam to attract more foreign investors, foreign employees, and foreign intellectuals to live here and stay here for longer times. So hence we think that the management and the companies, the foreign companies, the employee can please be aware of some material changes to the Vietnamese law, and especially please I would like to focus on the three main ones. The first one is the labor contracts. The second is the work permit. The third is the entry visa and TRC, and finally I will talk to you about it. Personal income tax and other social insurance duties when you live here and then work here in Vietnam. So let's first begin with the labor contracts. I believe that Mr. Thanh, the team have told you about some specific conditions, the condition precedent to work in Vietnam. So I would like to emphasize on the importance of the work permit. This is the most important condition precedent to work in Vietnam. So without the work permit, you cannot sign the labor contract. I mean that without the work permit, the contract can be considered as invalid. So the Vietnamese legislations won't recognize the contractual relationship without the work permit. So please, work permit, please let your employers, the companies, get your work permit first, unless you are entitled to a work permit exemption scenarios, which I will be discussed furthermore in some next slide. And another thing relating to the labor contracts that I think you may consider too is about the languages of contracts. Especially in particular, Vietnamese law has no regulation concerning the languages of labor contracts. But I highly recommend you to sign a labor contract and to draft a labor contract in the bilingual languages. It can, and one of them is the Vietnamese, and another is the foreign language. Because the most of when you work in Vietnam, the Vietnamese labor law will protect you against any dispute resolutions, and the Vietnamese court often use the Vietnamese version of the contract to resolve the matter, to settle out the dispute resolutions. An important note for you to work here is about the currency of salary. Vietnam has some constraint and has some limit in using foreign currencies for the daily transactions in Vietnam. So most transactions are required to be conducted in Vietnamese dong. Vietnamese dong is the national currency of Vietnam. But the Vietnam foreign employees is still permitted to receive the salary in foreign currencies. So you can receive a foreign currency in salaries, also then convert into the Vietnamese dong to use within the territory of Vietnam. Or even you can use the foreign currency to make an overseas remittance to your hometowns in the foreign countries. The final relating to labor contracts. Important is that the term of labor contracts is from 2021, only 2 types of labor contracts regulated in the labor laws. The first one is the definite term labor contracts, which can be agreed upon parties up to 36 months, and the second one is the indefinite term labor contracts. Compared to the local Vietnamese employees, which they only allowed to sign 2 times only with the definite term of labor contract. But with the foreigners, exception for the foreigners can sign multiple times with the definite term of labor contract, and the term of contracts must be correspond to the term of the work permit. The term of work permit shall not exceed 2 years, so the term of labor contracts cannot also be exceed 2 years too. And move to the next slide. I will talk about the work permit specifically. The current regulations only allowed the foreign employees to work in these 3 positions. I mean that the employer must obtain the approval from our competent authority, from the labor authorities, towards these 3 positions that we have presented on the screen. The first is the position of the manager, the CEO, and directors. This is the person who's appointed in your company chapters. We also say that in foreign languages, like article of associations in Vietnam or in business license. And the second position is someone who is the specialist or expert with some specific condition to be considered as a specialist and expert. And the third position is the technical workers with some specific conditions that I have presented on the screen. And please keep in mind that the work permit only have a maximum validity of 2 years only, and you can renew it in multiple times with some different procedures, application procedures upon your case. So I told you about the importance of work permit, and I think that you should care about if you belong to some like a scenario where you can be exempted from a work permit. So in the next slide, I will discuss with you about some work permit exemption scenario. When you want on the screen, I have to display some common cases relating to the work permit exemptions with some specific condition and requirement. And from 2021, I would like to tell you that there is 2 type of position relating to the investors and relating to the marriage circumstance that should be exempted from the work permit. First thing is about the investors. The investor with the minimum capital contribution or the authorized representative from 3 billion Vietnamese dong and above could be exempted from a work permit. And another thing is the marriage scenarios where you are a foreigner and you married a Vietnamese person, Vietnamese nationals, and live in Vietnam. So these two scenarios is the new one, is the two new scenarios to be exempted from the work permit that the investor and the labor, the foreign employees could benefit from. Please be aware. So once again, please be aware of the importance of the work permit. And another thing is the certificate of work permit exemption. I would like to add in that some cases when if you belong to the work permit exemption scenario, in some cases you need to obtain the certificate of the work permit exemptions. So please be aware of these two matters relating to the work permit. So move to the next slide. And before talking about the tax and duties, I would like to talk about the entry visa and temporary resident card. I believe that the team has told you some basic skills about this and some basic terminologies about the entry visa and temporary and how important it is and how important they are when you are in Vietnam. And I will tell you that for some new updates about the TRCs, especially not applied to the investors and the laborers, and especially and about the family, your family members. From 2020 to especially July 2020, those investors who had the investment less than 3 billion Vietnam dong won't be granted a TRC. So it means that if you want to be granted a TRC, you need to invest. If you're an investor, you want to be granted a TRC, you need to invest more from 3 billion Vietnam dong and above. And please, with the investment, you also need to obtain the investment registration certificate. This is the demonstration. This is the proof that you have invested in Vietnam and help you to obtain the temporary resident card. And another note, I want to tell you that about a working visa. So from 2020, there will be 2 types of working visa and working term temporary resident card. LD1 and LD2. LD1 is applicable for someone who is be exempted from the work permit, and LD2 will be someone who is granted a work permit. And the term of the working visa and working TRCs is had a maximum validity of 2 years. In practice, most of the case with the authority only issue the visa maximum of 12 months. So if you want to stay in longer in Vietnam, please obtain the TRCs. The TRCs is also important, and it can replace the visa when you stay in Vietnam or when you exit or access to Vietnam. And finally, I will discuss with you about a tax and another duties about a personal income tax. So foreigner working in Vietnam and have the income generated from Vietnam are subject to the personal income tax. When you paying tax in Vietnam, so please specify that you are a tax resident or non-tax residents, tax non-residents. So the tax resident is when you reside in Vietnam for at least 183 days or more. And if you are a tax resident, it means that you stay in Vietnam less than 183 days a year. So if you are a tax resident, you will be applied a progressive rate up to the 35%. And if you are non-resident taxpayers, you'll be applied to a flat rate of 20%. So please be not the importance of your resident status in Vietnam. Non-resident or resident will be impart on your obligation of tax. Especially Vietnam count to the 2020s, Vietnam has signed some double taxation treaty with with about 80 countries. In there, especially with the Italy or with the Spanish, Vietnam has the double taxation agreement. This agreement will help you to avoid paying tax 2 times in the same income. This will have the taxpayer reduce and have a tax relief in particular. Finally, about a compulsory social insurance, the foreign employees working in Vietnam will be subject to the social insurance obligations for the maximum of 8% as from the 1st January 2022, and comply with the health insurance obligation of about 1.5%. So in totally, from 2022, you need to pay 9.5% as per your basic salaries in the contracts to contribute to the social insurance fund and the health insurance fund. So to conclude, this is the some material changes to that applicable to the foreign employees, and we also have some minor changes in condition and requirement, but it will be varied on case by case basis. So if you have any concern about your legal difficulties when working in Vietnam or intention to work in Vietnam, please send us an email or ask us in the Q&A questions. And now I will hand over to Mr. Tim. He will take over the stage.
Thank you, Mr. Paul, for your updates, and I hope you find it useful and helpful. So to wrap up, I'm going to introduce you a little bit about Viva Business Consulting as a firm. So Viva Business Consulting Vietnam was founded in 2006, and we have a seasonal professional in Vietnam have working together for more than a decade. We have around 60 temporary permanent staff with the offices in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. The approach of our delivering a service to our clients is listening to their needs and understanding, and then tailor for each client. We have working with our clients, or as we call it, partners, including local and foreign partners in Vietnam for over a decade. And we think with our expertise, and we can help foreign and local employee businesses in Vietnam to have a sustainable growth and to have a future business plan with the volatile market, especially during this COVID period. And what we do is, in our expertise comprised of 5 consistent background, including business law and how tax management, accounting, and corporate finance, and other. We see there's a lot of recently a lot of foreign tech companies coming in Vietnam, and we see there's a lot of incentive and tax exemption for our international clients. So those things we can advise foreign business before coming to Vietnam and how to handle business optimally in Vietnam. So our core segment or our core service customers or clients, including foreign or local companies, including small and medium enterprise and large corporates. We do outsourcing and in-house services. We also help foreign business coming into Vietnam to penetrate the market, opening a representative office in Vietnam. Or in January, we help as today, we are trying to help foreigners working in Vietnam position, including managers and entrepreneurs or any other management level. So these are our clients, some of our clients. You know, some of you might find it relevant, and we want to show you that these are our partners, and we have been working with them. Some of them are like almost a decade, and we think it's very important. Like especially if there's a future, foreign investor want to come in, they have to understand the culture of the local regulation. It's very imperative to have local partner that can advise and guide them in doing business in other related legal matters, or any actual business decision based on the Vietnam jurisdiction. So that's a wrap for our presentation today. I would like to thank every every attendance today who joined our webinar today. After today, I hope you find some useful information. We're gonna move on. If you have any further question or other non-related non-related expat compliance procedure, you can email us by email presented on the screen, or you can give us a call via hotline on the screen. For now, I would like to hand over to Mr. Hai, and we're going to move on the Q&A session. Please, if you have any questions, please input your question in the chat box, and our expert and legal team will look at it and answer to your question right away.
Yeah, thank you, Thanh and Phong, for your very insightful presentation. And of course, as we all know, as employer and also as employee and also as a foreign business community that work in Vietnam, to hire a foreigner to work in Vietnam is always a headache for the employer. And even as ourselves, as ICHAM experience as a first-hand experience. So I would move right now to the Q&A part. So we have received quite a long list of questions, and I'm sure that many of this answer of this question will also answer all of your doubt, concerns. So please remain with us until the end. For the first question, we have from Alexander Salamanca. It's and I quote, "Is this looking like a long-term policy or just a new policy heavily enforced at the moment due to the arrival of the new Prime Minister and government?" If you allow, I'd like to answer this question, because technically, I believe none of us can say or rightfully answer about this question. But obviously, the new government of Vietnam is trying to bring its best, both to let's say to fighting against this COVID-19, and also to running the economic and to keep it growing in a sustainable growth rate. And obviously, after the COVID-19, one of the big issues that the Vietnamese government has to face is the disoccupation, and that is the fact. And I believe that the Vietnamese government is trying to avoid it from the complex perspective as much as possible. So we will see. Because again, I repeat that I believe that none of us have the rightful position to answer to this question. The second question we have is from Mr. Nguyễn Bình Phương Thanh Trúc. She has two questions. The first one is, if the chef representative is a foreigner that already have the work permit issued the first time according to the old regulation, this December will be expired. So I'd like to ask, according to the new regulation, what we have to do in order to extend the application or have the new approval. So I don't know if Thành or Chung, can you answer this question, please?
Yes, thank you for your question. Phong, do you want to take over the question?
Okay, I'll answer this question. So, thanks, Mr. Hai. Thank you. This is an interesting question, and I have faced a lot of question, a lot of concern like this before. So, if you are applied to a work permit with the old regulations, and now up to now with the new decrees, new regulations, the question is, do we need to? What is the procedures, and how can we apply for the extension? So, in the new decree, the work permit can be renewed once, only one time only. But if you have obtained the old regulations, so from the new decrees, you need to reapply it again with the new issuance applications. This means that we will apply the new issuance process according to the decree 152. And we still be able to extend more and more times.
Yeah, so I want to clarify. So basically, prior decree 152, as representative officer, you can extend work permit or TSC. But with the new decree 152, if you expired a work permit or TSC, you have to submit again documents. Basically, submit again, like the new submission, and apply for work permit and TSC.
Sorry, can I have one question? When we submit to renew the work permit, do we need to submit again the Form 01, meaning the request for using foreign worker?
Request for, yeah. So there's a process of basically registering demand of a foreign worker, right? So yes. So usually, if you usually it's in case your employer have to apply for work permit, you have to submit the demand to Lolita, Department of Labor and Social Affairs, invalid in Social Affairs prior 30 days when the expected date.
Aber das wollte ich gar nicht wissen.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Sorry, please go ahead.
Okay, we have the second question. Because it's a little bit complex, so I quote it in Vietnamese and try to translate into English later. Câu hỏi này là trường hợp muốn chuyển người đại diện đang là trưởng văn phòng đại diện sang làm người đại diện của công ty con cùng công ty mẹ tại Ấn Độ, thủ tục xin work permit, thẻ tạm trú bên công ty con sẽ là cấp mới, thì người nước ngoài này có phải xuất cảnh rồi nhập cảnh lại hay không? Có lưu ý gì cho trường hợp này? Xin được hướng dẫn. So the second question is in case the share representative, if we want to move the current share representative into the legal representative of the company member, whereas the holding company is in India. So the procedure to ask to apply for the work permit and the resident card is had to be the new one, and this foreigner must to get out of Vietnam and then re-enter again or not?
So thank you, Mr. Hai. So the legal issues is that the first is the chief of representative of the foreign office in Vietnam. So this person will be appointed as the legal representative of another company, another subsidiary in Vietnam. So if according to Vietnamese law, the chief rep of Vietnam cannot be appointed to be a legal representative in another companies. So if he want to become the real representative of another company, he should be resigned from being a chief rep first, and then the subsidiaries will register him as the legal representative. So we need to conduct the application procedure again to obtain the work permit and TRC as well. But here is that we do not need to exit from Vietnam, because in accordance with the new immigration law that come into effect since 2020, we can change the type of visa and TRCs without exit from Vietnam. If you can prove that you have the document demonstrating that you are managers, or you are foreign employees working in Vietnam, it means that you have been granted a work permit, you can apply to extend to a new TRC in Vietnam and without exit from Vietnam.
Okay, great. We have the next one is would be good from Manish Sugani. Would be good to have the speaker share some information on the work permits exemption scenario. Is there anything that we could share?
So I'm going to give you some case of work permit exemption, right? And then after that, Paul can add on if I miss something. So first thing is for now, if you are married, if you're a foreign employee, if you're married with Vietnamese citizenship, you can apply for work permit exemption. So if you're married, so there's like two cases. First case, if you are subject to for work permit exemption, you still apply for work permit exemption. The work permit exemption paper. And then other example is you do not have to apply for work permit exemption. You only have to report to the LISA, to Department of Labor, Invalid and Social Affairs. So the case, if you're married to Vietnamese citizen, you will be exempted work permit. And other example, if you are foreign investors and your invested capital is more than 3 billion Vietnam dong, it's equivalent to 136,000 US dollars, you will able to apply for TSC under investment, and then you'll be also eligible for work permit exemption. And other example, I believe Mr. Paul have presented in our slides. Work permit exemption, it can be if you're working in Vietnam for short-term assignments, or you are a lawyer, or yes, or you are investor or member of the board of directors.
Yeah, thank you. I believe the next question is very interesting for many of us here. And I'd like to quote the question number 5. In a situation where a foreign employee is representative for more than one company, which may not link with each other, and is shown in company structure with specific position, do we need to obtain the work permit for own company? And the second part of the question is, if an employee receives salary from only one company, how will his income detail be shown in other companies' labor contracts, since he is representative for a separate entity? And in the event that his education does not match with the position title, but his previously employed does, is it possible to obtain the work permit?
Okay, these very interesting questions. I think that most of foreigners will care about this also. For the first questions, so the concern is that can one person work for a lot of companies in Vietnam with one permit? So I must say that if you want to work, you have obtained one permit already, and then you want to move also work. You also work for another company with the same positions and same jobs. You need to obtain another work permit as well. But the procedures to to apply for another work permit will be CV files and not complicated like the first work permit you have obtained. So in the first question, I will answer that we need to obtain the new work permit corresponding to each separate entities to be allowed and to work legally in Vietnam. And for the second questions, I recommend that for each of the work in each companies, it should be signed with it should become with to get out together with the labor contract and sign that separately with the separate incomes. But the income presented in each labor contract must be suitable, should be suitable, and should be reasonable in accordance with the tax law and in accordance with Vietnamese income law, Vietnamese salary laws. And with the third questions, in the event that his education does not match the position's titles, but his previous employment does, so I suggest that the procedures to obtain a work permit will vary, really diversities and vary on case by case basis. So and with each conditions will be different from each others. So I highly recommend that you can give me the further information so that our Viva can access more and give you more explanations and justification upon the cases. Well, thank you. I hope you can be clear with our answers.
Yeah, we still have a long way to go since the list is continue to arriving. The next one is from Valeria Teo, which is who is classified under expert to qualify for work permit. Can you give some example? And the condition for PRC, are they N or all condition?
Do you want to read it? Paul, do you want to take it?
About I have presented in the previous slide. So presented the specialist and the expert positions. The conditions to be considered expert is the two conditions. The first of all, this person needs to have working experience at least 5 years and have a practicing license, the certificate of practice. And the second condition to be considered an expert is that this person should have the bachelor's or equivalently or higher. You need to provide you have a bachelor degree, master degrees, or PhDs, doctors, something like that. And this expert also needs to have a work experience of at least 3 years. So this is the two conditions for a foreigner to be considered an expert when working in Vietnam.
Okay, I think I can add on about what Paul just said. So in order at the government to recognize you are an expert, so two options, right? You either providing equivalent qualification, it's either bachelor degree or something equivalent to a trading or working field, and you also have to provide 5 years working experience. Sorry, if you have a bachelor degree, you only provide a certificate of working experience, only 3 years. And if you do not need that, you can, other option is you can provide working certificate with 5 year experience. And then you'll be applying you'll be eligible for work permit. So for the condition for working PRC, permanent residence card, so you have, at the moment, we have two options. One is sponsored by the Vietnamese family member. So if you are foreigner, you have a family member that above 18 years old, they can sponsor you to apply for PRC. So it can be your kids or your wife or fiance, and also you have to have some working history with proving with some invested capital in Vietnam. So we have proving that you have some kind of investment history, activities in Vietnam, or working history So where applying documents, they will, after you provide all those documents, you have to go through an interview. So after the interview, you get the result. So other option is applying PRC under like an expert. So there's like a Ministry of Trade or other like related field. They will recognize your achievement in Vietnam. For example, you're a scientist, you have contributed like a certain achievement or a certain, you know, work in Vietnam. The government office issue like an achievement certificate. You can use that to apply for work permit, and as long as you have a living or working history in Vietnam, you apply under the scientist or expert PRC.
Yeah, we have a question from Andy Richardson, which is which category of work permit would apply for an English teacher? Are there any barrier, problem, difficulties for companies employing teacher with work permit exemption due to marriage compared to teacher with work permit?
Sorry, I want to clarify the question. So your question is, what position is categorized for English teacher in Vietnam? Is that correct? And
that's correct. Yes.
Yes. So, Paul, you want to answer this question?
If you so when apply for English teachers, I would recommend you to apply for the specialist positions. So we require that you need to show that you have the practicing license, educational license, a training license, and having work experience of at least 5 years. Or you have an educational, you have a bachelor degree in educations and work experience of at least 3 years. So I really recommend you to apply for the specialist positions.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to add on. So you know, there's no recommend like, yes, it's no like specific you will be categorized as expert or anything, but as long as you can provide the documents and working experience, you can prove that, you can apply for that position. So therefore you can be either expert or you can be either manager or specialist. So as an English teacher, usually so the government, one very important point is the working experience does not, the government doesn't recognize the specific working experience in Vietnam. So those working experience have to be from a foreign country. So if you're working in Vietnam, it has to be a foreign employer approving, like, you know, certifying you that you have worked in this employer in a foreign country other than Vietnam for a certain period of time. And then you bring that, legalize that affidavit, that paper, that paper, and bring it to Vietnam, and then you can apply for work permit. So for your case, if you have any bachelor, for some English teacher, we understand that there's during this COVID, you know, a lot of English teacher like moving online teaching, or they cut down on expenses, and you do not know like what's the visa plan. Visa plan is, you can send us like what's the qualification. Usually we need to provide qualification and what type of visa you're holding at, and we can give you like a clear option.
The next question we have from Niccolo Zanelli, which is, good afternoon. Are the authority processing a new working visa and re-entry permit during this lockdown? I don't know if you want to answer or.
Yes. Okay, so for during COVID, so the entry visa has changed dramatically. So even though if you're holding a valid visa or TSC and you'll be returning to home country, you want to re-enter Vietnam, you have to go through 2 steps, right? Your first step is you have to apply for grant entry in Vietnam. So those things is you have to have the employer sponsoring you and apply for those permit, like approval letter to enter. So it usually right now take around 25 to 30 working days. And usually it's also depending on the province or the city of the company where sponsoring you, the situation of outbreak of the province. So for example, in Ho Chi Minh City right now, is the Vietnamese employer have an employee in Italy, and they want to send the employee, and they want to send the employee from Italy to Vietnam, they have to sponsor them and submit all documents in the Ho Chi Minh City government office. But if the Ho Chi Minh City office is currently, the outbreak is a little bit difficult, the duration might take longer. And then second step, after you apply for the approval letter to entry, you will get the if it's a new foreign employer entering Vietnam, it's going to be the entry visa or entry paper, like a entry grant entry certificate. So you have to go through those two steps, and furthermore, you will also have to have a quarantine plan and also do a COVID testing, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a next one from Wouter Slichter. I'm sorry for my pronunciation, but I'm not very good at that. If I have a married Vietnamese citizen abroad in a same-sex marriage, will I be eligible for a TRC?
Actually, Vietnam has not recognized the same-sex marriage. We have not recognized this as the lawful marriage relationship at the moment. So I highly recommend you to apply for another type of TRCs like LD TRC. So to stay in Vietnam.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, the Vietnamese law is not forbidden, but not recognized the same-sex marriage in Vietnam. Yeah, that's and the next one from BritCham. When expats come to work in Vietnam, are they allowed to buy or own real estate property? If so, can they take loan from local foreign banks to support the buying process? If expats decide to relocate to another country, can they sell their real estate property in Vietnam? Are there any agent or channel available to support that process?
So according to the real estate law 2016 and enacted in July 2016 at the end, go effective at the end of 2016, a foreigner can own certain type of property, especially condos, at the project of development in Vietnam. So there's a certain quotation. Yes, right now you can own property as a foreigner. You have the same rights as Vietnamese. You can purchase it, can resell, can sublease it. But however, the duration of the ownership may vary. So some of them maybe go from 50 years to 70 years, depending on the lease between the developer and the government. So for now, if you have a property in Vietnam, you want to resell in Vietnam, and you want someone to represent. Yes, we have. We see a lot of foreign investor in real estate can give a power attorney to the Vietnamese agent or any representative in Vietnam and go to notary office and transfer, do the transfer transaction, and then pay the tax on their behalf. Yes.
Yes, thank you. We have the question from Robert Machashek. I'm sorry again for my pronunciation. In the beginning of the presentation, team mentioned some rule for office representative in Vietnam, 12 months already in that position in origin country. Can you clarify, please?
So you want to answer this question? Okay, so that goes to reassignment situation, or where parent company in a foreign company or origin country hiring a foreign employee. So in order to send that foreign employee to Vietnamese company, to subsidiary company or representatives in Vietnam, and have the rights to apply for work permit under reassignment position. So that foreign employee has to work at least 12 months in the company, in a foreign company in the origin country. So I hope that's clear now.
I will translate in some of them. So when you are in the position of an internal assessment, so please be aware that this is when the parent company in the foreign countries have the commercial presence in Vietnam, but this commercial presence is the economic organizations that in business of 11 WTO committed services, including the business, information, constructions, distribution, education, environment, finance, health, tourism, cultures, entertainment, and transportations. It means that your commercial presence in Vietnam here is doing those 11 business. So the foreign employee from the parent company overseas can have an internal assignment to Vietnam into that commercial presence in Vietnam. And like Mr. Tim has said, that you have to prove that you have a labor contract with the parent company overseas 12 months. Besides that, this is the 12-month consecutively. It's not 12 months cumulatively, but the consecutively and continuously 12 months before you have an internal assignment to Vietnam.
We have a question from Emily Hudson. After contributing to education here for over 20 years, what are requirements to retire here?
What are requirements
to retire?
Paul, you want to answer this question?
So the requirements for retires age in Vietnam will be the same as the Vietnamese individuals in Vietnam. So and at the moment, for men, that differs from a woman. If you are men, the retired age will be 62 currently, and it will be extended more and more. For example, like 23, 24, 25 until 2025. And until 2025 will be the maximum age for retirement is 65. Since to 2025, but currently the age of retirement is 62 for men and about 60 for women.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
please go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to add on, like, if you work in Vietnam and you pay social insurance for a certain period of time, and if you retire, you will, have some kind of, incentives for employees that paying required social insurance. So as Mr. Paul stated, that there's a certain limit of retirement age, and the years to come might be changed to 65. However, the requirement plan will be up to your plan and your financial status and the other status. So I think if you're looking for, example, I have a retirement clients in Da Nang, and I think Da Nang is very attractive destination for a lot of expats retiring there, and they can open business and still receiving their social benefits from Vietnamese government. So those kind of topic we can give you a more deep answer. If you have a real concern or interest in that, you can email us. We can give you a very detailed answer in that.
I believe the next question is very articulate. If a foreign employee receive monthly salary from home country, and then those costs shall be recharged back to the company in Vietnam for internal payment, how do we present this payment approach in labor contract? This is a question from Hạnh Lê. The question number 6.
Could you please have a repeat the question, please?
I don't know if Hạnh Lê is here to clarify the question.
Hi, em là Hạnh ạ. Câu hỏi của em khá đặc thù là bởi vì là nhân viên của bên em là được cử ở một công ty khác ở nước ngoài về cử về Việt Nam để làm việc, và tụi em có ký hợp đồng lao động theo hướng dẫn của bên Sở Lao động, nhưng mà lương thì vẫn là do bên nước mẹ, công ty mẹ chi trả, và sau đó sẽ đưa hóa đơn về cho công ty tại Việt Nam để tiến hành thanh toán nội bộ giữa các công ty với nhau. Thì khi mà tụi em làm hợp đồng lao động thì tụi em phải thể hiện cái này, cái chuyện thanh toán này như thế nào?
It's a tough one.
Mr. Hai. So I think Mr. Hai. Yeah, I think like our Mr. Hai from Viva will answer to this question. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, I think we will solve this technical issues and answer you after this question. I think we can move on to the next question and we'll return back to this question. Is that okay for you?
Okay, great. We will move to the next one and then get back to this question later. Okay, the next one is for family visa, TRC validity usually follow the work permit validity 2 years. So in which situation we can apply for 3-year TRC for family?
Okay, so for case usually first example is foreign employee coming to Vietnam working under LD TSC, which is 2 years, equivalent expiration date with work permit. So when the LD type of TSC sponsoring the family, usually we have the same expiration date with the LD TSC. The example for TSC 3 years is when a foreigner foreigner married or having a family member in Vietnam that hold a Vietnamese citizenship. So the family member that hold Vietnamese citizenship can sponsor a foreigner under a dependent TSC up to 3 years. Yes. So I hope that's the answer to your question. Now I think we have resolved the issue. Right now we can answer to your previous question.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes. So allow me to answer Ms. Chang in Vietnamese.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Ok, chị Trang, câu hỏi của chị thì mình sẽ được trình bày như thế này. Về mặt nguyên tắc, chị phải phân biệt được sự khác nhau giữa hai công ty ở nước ngoài và công ty ở Việt Nam, mặc dù là có quan hệ là mẹ con, tuy nhiên về mặt luật pháp nó là hai pháp nhân độc lập. Nên khi một người quản lý sang Việt Nam làm việc thì họ có một cái chức danh chính thức, và chức danh này phải làm thủ tục xin giấy phép lao động ở cơ quan nhà nước. Thì trên giấy phép lao động chị phải mô tả rõ công việc và mức thu nhập. Nên là cái tiền lương hàng tháng ấy, chị bắt buộc phải thể hiện phù hợp với cái mẫu 01 mà chị đã nộp cho cơ quan nhà nước lúc chị xin giấy phép lao động. Còn việc mà giữa công ty mẹ và công ty con tính cái phí điều chuyển cái phí quản lý của cái vị giám đốc này như thế nào á, thì giữa hai bên sẽ phải có cái hóa đơn dịch vụ, có hợp đồng dịch vụ, xuất hóa đơn dịch vụ rõ ràng với nhau như là hai cái công ty riêng biệt đó, chứ không thể nào làm là gọi là điều chuyển nội bộ được. Có nghĩa là có hai vấn đề. Vấn đề thứ nhất là hợp đồng lao động, giấy phép lao động và tiền lương của vị giám đốc này cho công việc ở Việt Nam bắt buộc phải kê khai rõ ràng và phù hợp với hồ sơ cấp giấy phép lao động. Vấn đề thứ hai là quan hệ chuyển tiền giữa công ty ở nước ngoài và công ty ở Việt Nam bắt buộc phải có cái hợp đồng thương mại giữa hai bên và xuất hóa đơn hợp lệ. Ngoài ra mình cũng lưu ý là cái vị giám đốc này nếu như là người cư trú ở Việt Nam thì sẽ phải kê khai thu nhập toàn cầu ở Việt Nam, bao gồm tiền lương cho cái vị trí làm việc ở Việt Nam và thu nhập ở tất cả những nước khác để quyết toán ở Việt Nam. Còn trong trường hợp mà vị giám đốc này không cư trú ở Việt Nam thì anh sẽ phải nộp 20% thuế thu nhập cá nhân cho cái phần thu nhập có ở Việt Nam. Về mặt chi tiết thì nếu như chị có muốn trao đổi thêm thì mình có thể trao đổi qua email để bên mình có thể hướng dẫn chị bộ hồ sơ tuân thủ cho từng cái giao dịch, bao gồm giao dịch về tiền lương của giám đốc, giao dịch giữa hai công ty mẹ và công ty con với nhau và các cái thủ tục khác liên quan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hai, for very well explanation. Since we're going quite long, I would like to quote the last question, and then on the unanswered question, we will forward directly to the expert in Viva Consulting, and they will reply you directly via email. So the last question we have is from Ariston Franco Lee. Do extension of contract have different requirements from new hiring?
So when you extensions of the contracts for the new hirings, please, I think that we should consider two matters. The first of all is the contents of the agreement on the new contracts that should be suitable and synchronizable to the content of the work permit. And it means that if you renew the contracts, you also need to comply with the regulation of the work permit, all the tax and related matters as the same method when you sign as new hirings. But another important note is that when you make an extension of the contract, you cannot sign an appendix of the contracts. You need to sign a new labor contracts and then get a new work permit together. So it is the two important notes I would like to send to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And again, thank you to everybody to remain after 1 hour and a half to joining our webinar. It's very, we believe it's very successful, and all the information that we provide with our expert is of your satisfied. And in case we are very sorry because the question list is very long, and if we go through all the questions, then I'm afraid we won't stay here for at least other 2 or 3 hours. So again, but we have already received all your question and all the info, the email that of the person who raised the question. We will forward directly to our expert here in Viva Consulting, and they will reply to you directly via email. And again, thank you very much for remaining with us until at the end of the evening. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay tough during this difficult time, and please keep following our next activity on webinar on our social event. And I would leave the floor to our two experts to also to say goodbye to everyone.
Yes. So on behalf of Viva Business Consulting, thank you, ICHAM and Mr. Hai, that hosting very, eventful webinar today. And we hope, for our next collaboration, we can bring more values and more information to our clients, especially expat and foreign investors in Vietnam, especially during this, COVID crisis. And we hope we can, help you to overcome and, be ready to take a new wave of opportunities for next year. And we think Vietnam is rebounding, according to the result for the first half of 2021, Vietnam GDP growth rebounded very, dramatically, very solid. And we see this Vietnamese government and Vietnamese people as a whole going to overcome this within next year. And we hope to see you, in person next year. So thank you everyone for joining us today. And once again, stay safe.
Thank you. Stay safe.